All right, welcome to Live Breathe Film, episode 60. You're here with Corey, Doug, and Murph. Thanks as always for joining us. As we mentioned in our last episode, JP is currently taking some time off. So while he does that, we're going to discuss our most anticipated films of 2022. But before we get to that, let's run through some news, what we watched over the past week, including the latest film in the Scream franchise, which we will not be including in our most anticipated lists since two of us that did previously include it before we delayed this episode have already seen it. So it would be silly to include it now. But I will say that we both enjoyed it a lot, and we will get to why we enjoyed it later on in the episode. All right, news. So one announcement that we got, pretty big. Disney's continuing to fuck over Pixar. It's like their new favorite thing in the world to do. Turning Red, their latest film that was supposed to be coming out in theaters in March, will now be going exclusively to Disney Plus for free, not premium. So exactly the same deal as what happened to their last two films, Luca and Soul. And as anyone who's been paying attention to us for the past 2 years know, Onward, their previous film, also kind of got screwed because of the pandemic. It was only out for like less than about 10 days before the world shut down in the US, and then it went right to Disney Plus. So this is kind of like their fourth film that has gone pretty much straight to Disney Plus. How do we feel about this? Why is Disney continuing to do this? It kind of feels like they're like the ugly stepchild right now, which is crazy considering they were their golden goose throughout the 2000s and late 90s.
Yeah, I think it's really bizarre because Pixar movies still make money. It's not like they don't generate money for the company. So to just throw them on the desert island known as Disney Plus, it just ruins any chance of it making any money. Especially if it's not like paid for movie rentals that they do on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. It's just very strange. I mean, I haven't personally watched any of the Pixar movies in a long time. Like I'm probably 7 behind at this point.
Wow. No, you saw Incredibles and Toy Story 4, Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4.
All right, so what?
When it comes to their original films, you are probably 7 films behind.
But
because these are all, it should be noted, these are all 4 of these films. Well, the 3 during the pandemic, they're all original films. Onward was as well, but that wasn't necessarily Disney. That wasn't Disney's decision.
I mean, is it possible that looking at like historical data, like the movies that have come out since Onward haven't done well? I don't know what the numbers are, so maybe that's why they're doing
numbers. A chance, have they?
I mean, they haven't had a chance box office wise. They're killing it as far as streaming numbers go. They're doing very well. We don't know what they would have done being original films in a world.
Oh, none of them have been in theaters. Okay.
They've got 1 week theatrical run, so they can get nominated for Oscars. I mean, Soul won Best Picture.
Yeah. And
Luca likely will win Best Picture or Best Animated Feature, and Luca likely will do the same this year. So these are critically acclaimed, really good films that are getting the short end of the stick. I mean, Disney's in-house animated movies, like Raya and the Last Dragon, that went to theaters and Disney Plus, but it was a premium purchase, the same day. And then Encanto went to theaters first, and then 30 days later it was on Disney Plus for free. That's kind of when Encanto blew up too, is when it went to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That. They have one song now that I think just hit number 1 on the Billboard, and it was only because of the Disney Plus release.
Yeah.
Probably we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's a pretty big song.
I still haven't seen the movie, but
so clearly their animated movies are killing on Disney Plus, and I mean, there's a there must be a lot of money in theaters if they put them in theaters.
Yeah. So
subscribers, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely. I think an article came out or something came out that talked about how Disney really feels the need to amp up subscribers because they haven't been adding subscribers at the rate I think they were expecting to add them at. Mm-hmm. I mean, IP typically sells, so it's not a surprise that like the original stuff, Disney's getting less behind. Like I think we've all acknowledged that Lightyear isn't going to go to Disney Plus because
it's gonna be a monster.
Yeah, it's part of the Toy Story
Exactly.
IP. So they're not. It's just not. I don't see a situation where they don't put that out in theaters. What's weird to me, and I don't really understand, is for like cartoons, it's typically geared towards kids, and so you could make the argument that, well, for kids movies, maybe they don't feel like parents are comfortable bringing their kids to the theaters yet, and so they're pushing things over to Disney Plus. But like the Disney stuff seems more geared towards like younger kids than the Pixar
Even more,
stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's weird that the Disney stuff is the stuff that they're choosing to roll out in theaters, and the Pixar stuff, which is likely to probably attract an older crowd, is the stuff that they're putting on Disney Plus. I don't know. It feels like it should be the opposite, but
I agree.
I don't know. The mouse knows best, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, with Star Wars and with Marvel, like they have their original content for Disney Plus with the TV shows, but Pixar doesn't give them any yet. Like they have their first original show coming out next year. So maybe like once that happens, I mean, by then the pandemic will be hopefully fully over with by the end of 2023. I can't say it with a straight fucking face in 2 years. But maybe if we're lucky.
We're gonna have to.
It's gonna be very funny going back to our original.
I was gonna say we're gonna have to put like a montage of every time that you've talked about the pandemic ending.
Yeah, it's sad. We laugh because it's sad. It's all we can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just sucks for the people that work at Pixar because, like, at least if you're giving them like a premium like thing, like that'd be something like where people have to pay for these things, like Black Widow or Raya and the Last Dragon or Cruella. But yeah, like their shit's just going out for free.
Yeah, it must be frustrating for the team of animators and the people that are actually making these films. I mean, I would be pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Turning Red probably looked like their most like blockbuster friendly of the three so far, like over Luca and Soul. So it's like they're probably looking forward to finally having a movie in theaters again. And I'm sure, Doug, you mentioned this to me, that movie theaters were probably very much looking forward to having a Pixar movie in theaters again. They've been advertising it for a while, and now they just spent their time advertising a Disney Plus movie.
Yep. I've been seeing this trailer for so long in front of like every movie, it seems like, that I've gone to watch. I mean, so there clearly this wasn't part of like the plan. I mean, Disney was definitely planning on releasing this. They've been playing the trailers nonstop. The movie actually, I thought it looked pretty funny.
Yeah.
So I was kind of excited about this movie. So something happened recently. I guess maybe I don't know if it was Omicron but Disney not feeling like they're meeting their subscriber numbers. But this feels like something that wasn't planned out.
Totally.
So,
all right.
I don't know.
Well, we'll talk more about Turning Red when we get to the 2022 anticipated movies. So I know it's on at least one of the lists. But until then, let's talk box office. Spider-Man continuing its record-breaking run. We're looking at over $700 million now. Fourth biggest movie of all time in the United States, only below Avatar, Avengers Endgame, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. Whether it passes Avatar should be pretty close. It's definitely not getting where Endgame was, or let alone Force Awakens. But it'll be somewhere between 700 and 800 million when all things are said and done. Scream, on the other hand, that opened up this past weekend, and I'm happy to say its numbers rebounded significantly from Scream 4. It has already passed the lifetime total of Scream 4. That one made 38 million.
Yeah, this was shocking how well it did.
Yeah, and Scream, as of today, will be past that, or by the end of its first week. So by Thursday, we'll be past that. So that's pretty awesome. Its opening weekend with the MLK holiday was about 33 million. But or maybe was it 30? It was over 30 million.
Yeah, I thought it was around there, 30 something
Yeah.
million.
But yeah, it was similar opening weekend numbers to Scream 2 and Scream 3, which back in the day had the biggest December opening of all time and the biggest February opening of all time, respectively. Obviously, with inflation and everything like that, it was nowhere near as big. I mean, I still remember going to see Scream 2 its first Saturday, and the crowd was fucking nuts, like so hyped for it. It was an awesome experience, especially since I was only 11 years old and felt like I was like doing something I shouldn't be doing. But yeah, it was cool to see another slasher flick pull in solid numbers. I mean, it's another horror hit during the pandemic. It's other than superhero movies, it's like the most reliable genre during the pandemic to like bring in people. Obviously, the numbers are substantially lower, but its budgets are also substantially lower. So it's very reliable for studios.
Yeah, do you think this movie has any legs because it's a horror movie and those typically fizzle pretty quickly?
Yeah, it won't have great legs, but the fact that there's no competition coming for another couple weeks, I think I'll do all right. Like, it's not going to make the 100 million that Scream 1 and 2 made or the 90 million that Scream 3 made, but I imagine it'll get to at least 80 million.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty strong through February, and then at the end fizzle out.
Yeah, because February really, what does it have? Sonic the Hedge, or that's April.
Yeah.
What does it have?
Uncharted, right?
Uncharted. I think that's really it for February. Because Ambulance moved to April. That looked like it could be a hit. So yeah, I guess Batman's the next fucking real big movie. So it could be Scream and Spider-Man just basically carrying things for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I suspect it'll fall below Spider-Man again pretty soon.
Yeah, probably week 3. I would say would be below Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but because it is definitely a very fan-driven franchise. Like it's die hard.
Spider-Man's
So
still
people go in
doing
with
pretty well.
Yeah, Spider-Man's doing well. It still has the IMAX screens. This weekend, it's going to be sharing it with No Time to Die. It's being re-released for the 60th anniversary of Bond. So Bond's getting like the premium, like 7 p.m. type slot around by us, but then Spider-Man has the rest of the day. So, yeah, it's going to continue killing it.
I need to catch that in IMAX.
Yeah, same. All right, now let's talk trailers real quick. We just got one. We got the latest MCU trailer, which totally came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting this to come out this week. We got Moon Knight. Like the week, I guess a few days prior to the trailer debuting during the Monday Night Playoff game, we found out the release date, like projected release date for March 30th, and the fact that a trailer was coming out.
Why is it so tiny, Corey?
I don't know.
Like... Murph, they can't see it because he's not.
I'm not looking at it. But yeah, we weren't expecting. We were talking on. I think maybe it was our last episode or 2 episodes ago. What would be the order of the Marvel shows coming out this year? And I don't know if we had said Moon Knight or Ms. Marvel, but yeah, I mean the fact that's coming out in March, very cool. What do you guys think of the first look?
I thought it was really, really cool. It seemed very different than anything we've seen so far, especially from the TV shows, but just in general. The character seems incredibly interesting. He's, definitely has, he's going insane in some way, shape, or form. And Oscar Isaac, he looks pretty awesome in the role. I like how the costume seems to be all digital, which I think is a cool aesthetic.
Very Green Lantern like.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's a little bit better than Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And I think because I've read a very little amount of Moon Knight, and I think like his suit is like almost like alive. So there's like a lot of like fantastical things that I think that happens with his suit. So it makes sense why they went that route. But it looks it looks very different. It just looks very fresh. I'm definitely very excited.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
first thing that got me was the tone. Just looked very different from
Mm-hmm.
anything we've gotten in the MCU so far. Like very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
I, what would be the closest one to this? Like the Incredible Hulk, maybe. Like our first looks at that back in the beginning. Like
Yeah.
it kind of looked darker
Yeah.
than what we've gotten.
Yeah, he's very much like a vigilante, if I remember, like kind of Batman-esque in that way. But I mean, he's like almost like possessed like Shazam, kind of. Like it has like that type of fantastical aspect to it, but he's also being driven insane. So it's definitely very different. It's going to be, definitely fresh from what we've seen. But yeah, I would say probably Hulk. Probably the closest.
Yeah, because it's kind of got that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type vibe
Mm-hmm.
to it, with his like his attitude, like how he's like kind of seems like out of his mind a little bit.
Yeah, and was it Ethan Hawke, who's I guess the villain?
I think so.
No idea who he is, but I'm sure he'll, do an awesome job.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've watched a bunch of breakdowns on this just to kind of try to figure out what's going on.
there
So
was
I
there
did
was
read he
one that
has
I
like
saw.
multiple personality
Yeah,
disorder, and so he's like it's like a bunch of different personalities trapped in one person is kind of what's going on a little bit. That's why like he picks up the phone and in the one scene and that he finds in the wall, and they're like Mark, and he's like, "Who the hell is Mark?"
Mm.
And it's just I guess that's one of his personalities.
Hmm.
So, and I did read Oscar Isaac like changed his accent based on who he was, like which character he was playing.
That's cool.
Oh, that is cool.
So I know people were making fun of the super like Cockney British accent, and
I didn't think it was
everyone
that out of control, or that
and
like.
everyone was doing like saying it was Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins. So yeah, it didn't bother me as much, but
Yeah.
apparently some people had a problem with it. But that was interesting. And as far as timing, I did hear that they timed the trailer with the full moon for Moon
Interesting.
Knight. Yeah, which I thought was kind of cool.
That was cool.
So that's kind of why it dropped when it did. Is they just needed to get that moon timing. But yeah, I think it looks awesome. I think it looks really, really cool. I like that if he feels off as a character, and doesn't seem to really know what's real. And so you're sounds like you're gonna, or at least I was questioning watching the trailer. I was like, is this all in his head?
Yeah.
Because it seems like very fantastical.
Mm-hmm.
He seems very crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So,
possible. I wonder
like,
what type of cameos we'll see, because I'm sure we'll see at least one. I know someone pointed out Victor Von Doom, like Industries or something on like one of the boxes in one of the clips. So people are like, "Oh, they're going to be introducing him."
yeah, okay. They're gonna start introducing one of like the biggest Fantastic Four villains in like a Moon Knight TV show. People are crazy.
They're laying the groundwork.
This is like the last thing I needed to hear. Now, like all I'm gonna think about is like for the next few months is every episode. Where's Victor Von Doom? Like, I'm so goddamn tired of these types of conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the TV shows aren't overly consequential.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that this one just stays separate. I like the shows that end up being somewhat on, telling their own story in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously they take place in the MCU, but they don't always need to tie into some grander story.
Yeah, this doesn't really feel like, I don't know what group he fits with. I heard like he's teamed up with like Blade.
Yeah,
in that group, and maybe like depending on the tone of that could work. But like, I don't see him like hanging out with Spider-Man. It's just like the vibe just doesn't. The tone and the vibe doesn't seem like it really good. Yeah, like I can't ever see him crossing over with that group.
I could see him more in like the Blade type of like
yeah
that group of people, maybe like the whatever Kit Harington's characters whatever Dane is.
Black Knight or
Black Knight, yeah, like those types of characters together.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Like the Eternals, whatever they end up doing. So I doubt they're getting their own sequel.
No, they're definitely not getting a sequel.
But they'll appear, I imagine, in other stuff.
Which
Like,
I know JP is going to be heartbroken about because he loved that movie.
Yeah, we're going to need to get his full feedback on that one.
I think he said Dumpster Fire was like...
Yes, he was not a fan. Not a fan.
Dub Danger just made a comment that he thinks that, you know, the show should definitely fall in the tone of being like super brutal, because that's kind of where the comics...
It looks like like dark. I mean, for MCU Disney, like it definitely looks dark, which is what is most exciting about this project from what we've seen so far. I guess there's limits to what they can do, but Hawkeye even like had like the flashbacks with Ronan killing like Echo's dad, or was that actually? Do we know that was that Ronan who did it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like that was like had like Daredevil vibes to it, like Netflix. So hopefully it stays in that kind of tone.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah. It's weird that like Marvel, you can like kill people, but you just can't show them get killed.
You just can't show blood. You can't show gore, like any sort of gore.
I don't understand why that's the line, but you can like throw people off like Shang-Chi. They're just like throwing people off this high rise.
Oh yeah, there's lots of murder, but as long as they don't show like the gruesome end, then you're fine.
And then like the Hawkeye, there's like the tracksuit mafia that gets shrunk and the owl flies away. Like the owl's eating those fucking people. Like,
yeah.
Like
Daredevil's
Tim's
definitely
not gonna come around.
Daredevil's definitely a good comparison, but I don't think that it'll end up being quite as brutal. I mean, they already like scaled back.
I mean, Daredevil was brutal.
Yeah, and they scaled back Wilson Fisk quite a bit, and they gave him like ridiculous powers to offset.
Yeah, he was still a badass. He just wasn't crushing people's skulls with a Thor. Or killing his father with like a knife.
Yeah.
But he was still a badass. So we'll be talking about that one weekly come March 30th.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
Let's get into some things we have actually seen. So today we're going to talk about Red Rocket and Scream 2022. Doug hasn't seen either of these. We'll give our spoiler-free thoughts on both. We'll talk about Red Rocket first. So this one is the new film from Sean Baker. He's the director of The Florida Project, which got Willem Dafoe Best Supporting Actor nomination at the Oscars a few years back. That one took place in like kind of a slummy Florida motel. This one, on the other hand, takes place in like a slummy Texas, part of Texas. It deals with Simon Rex, the star of Scary Movie 3, of all actors in all movies, in a dramatic role as an ex-porn star coming back to his hometown of Texas, in Texas, and moving back in with his ex-wife and trying to get more money because he's flat out broke, and trying to woo a 17-year-old girl. So it's pretty like creepy dynamics. Considering he's like got to be like 40 something years old. But so this movie is not for everyone. I'd say it's not for probably like 90% or more of the world. But yeah, but it was a really interesting flick to be like watching this like character study of this like pretty like deplorable human being who was also very charismatic and like interesting to watch, and watching him like come up with his like schemes and stuff. Like he's basically like trying to recruit this 17-year-old girl into the porn industry, as he's like also like sleeping with her. So it's pretty wild, but it's a very solid drama, and if you can get over the heady subject material, like I think you'll enjoy the film. It's slow moving. It's very like day in the life. Like at the end of the movie, they talk about how it only took place over a month period, which blew my mind. I thought it took place over like a year based on the amount of cuts and like how it seemed like different days were going by and things like that.
Because he's not doing anything. He's just like being a bum.
Yeah, exactly. He's just dealing weed and trying to like get with this girl. Yeah, going to like hitching rides like around town, causing fucking crazy car accidents and a bunch of wild stuff. But yeah, Corey, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I know after we got out of the movie, one of the first things I said to you was, "Oh my god, that movie! It was entertaining, but it was so uncomfortable." Because I just kept thinking that like more bad things were going to continue to happen. You know, like what's going to happen next. But it was he was so charismatic, and the movie was so entertaining that I could not like shy away. But I thought it was really good at depicting, I guess, that area, and even all the characters that that were written for the movie were really interesting. I think you said most of them were non-actors, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was
like
really
the entire cast other than the main actor.
Yeah, which they did a great job. I mean, you could definitely tell that they weren't professional actors, but I think that's the point because it gives you that more grounded feel to it.
Is that like the thing to do these days now? Like, just have a
I
movie
think
with a
it
bunch of
works.
like non-actors.
I
Isn't
think
that
it works for
Nomadland too?
certain. Oh, Nomadland was like that.
I think so. I think a lot of those people were just like
Yeah, that was a bunch
nomads.
of no. That's been like this director's thing, like with all his movies. So
Okay.
he was doing it before Nomadland.
And I imagine as a director, probably filming is probably a headache because you really have to control everyone because they're not actors, like training wheels type of thing. But they did a great job, and like the movie escalated, even though at a slow pace. It just it kept getting so interesting, and Simon Rex's character, even though he's a bum, like absolute bum, waste of life, schemer type of character, you just have like he's just so charismatic, and like it's like almost like, oh, you want to hang out with him, even though like you'd probably get into trouble, but you'd have a hard time not hanging out with him. But it just he would always go into talking about like the porn industry. Like there were so many conversations in the movie that were definitely improv by him. Like he just started talking about like the porn industry and like what he used to do and like his like
He
video,
monologues a lot.
yeah, his video numbers and stuff, and it was hilarious the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely will watch it again. But definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, I said 90% of the world. It's probably more like 99% of the world.
Yeah, I don't know.
98.
So are you guys like the 2%? Or I don't know. I haven't got a sense from you, Murph, of whether or not you're in which percentage you're in.
No, I enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5. I gave it 3.5 out of 5.
So I will say that even though the movie does talk about like some really questionable
it's skeevy.
things,
like you feel gross watching the movie.
But the
character Euphoria.
Yeah, the characters are like just so interesting that it's very entertaining. It's not like something that will make you so uncomfortable that you can't sleep. It's just like entertaining, uncomfortable. Is the best.
Is a lot of the discomfort just the fact that it's a 40-year-old guy sleeping with a 17-year-old girl, or is it?
It's that, and of where it takes place. Is also like makes it a little bit uncomfortable because it's very, very grounded, and and just like the characters that are in his path throughout the movie are of questionable like type of individuals too. So yeah.
All right, so you guys both enjoyed the movie, but doesn't sound like you would recommend it.
I wouldn't
I-
recommend
there's-
it.
I would-
Yeah, there's very few people I'd actually recommend it to.
I would say for you to watch it. I don't know if you would like it, but
I'm not gonna go to a theater to watch it.
No, well, once it's
I'll
on,
wait till it hits Amazon Prime or whatever the hell
yeah, which it will, I'm sure.
platform it finds its way onto. Amazon Prime, it feels like gets a lot of these like independent feeling movies.
There was a movie that I was thinking about that it reminded me a lot of, but I couldn't think of the name, but it was definitely entertaining.
Oh yeah, it's
Sure.
A24. Doesn't Prime have a deal with A24
A24.
or A24?
Yeah, Prime or Hulu does. I forget which one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it'll be on one of those.
Yeah, probably
soon,
pretty soon.
probably over the next month or two.
Cool.
So-
I will watch it when it's free. Then I have nothing else to watch.
I definitely want to watch his other films for sure. So I might be a Sean Baker convert at this point. We'll see.
Cool.
All right, then let's talk about Scream. Scream 5, Scream 2022, whatever
I
you
think
want
it's
to
just
call
Scream.
it. It is. It's just Scream.
Which is
But,
very confusing.
Yes, it's confusing. It makes sense once you see the movie, why it is titled the way it is. I've already seen it twice now.
Holy
Oh.
shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know you saw it a second time.
I saw it after work yesterday.
Nice.
I had a couple hours to kill before having to do something for my parents. So
Did you see
I
it by
just went-
yourself?
yeah, I just went from my office right to the
I don't
movies.
know how you do that. I can't even remember the last time I went to a movie by myself. I don't
mean,
think I ever have.
You don't go to the movies to talk to people. You go to the movies to watch a movie.
No,
so.
it's completely true. You don't go to the movie, like you're not talking to anyone, but for whatever reason, it just feels weird to go to the movie
I
by
do it
yourself.
sometimes, not as much as Murph does.
Yeah, but yeah, with I get like movies up. The movie was at 5:30. I got out of work at like 5:10, so I just like drove right over there, and like sat down the moment the preview started. But yeah, as for the movie itself, major rebound from the past two entries. By far the best since the second one. I won't put it as high a pedestal as 1 and 2, but it is as close as it probably could be for me, because I consider those two like both classics, especially the first one. It's like one of my like perfect movies. The new cast was fantastic. Overall, then the weakest link of the new cast was probably the main character, played by Melissa Barrera. But everyone else, there was tons of great supporting characters that came into play into this one. And they weren't overshadowed by the legacy characters, by David Arquette, Courtney Cox, and Nev Campbell. They were the stars like of the movie. It was more, and the old characters were the supporting characters, which was probably what they should have done with the fourth one. So this was more of a true like reboot and legacy sequel than the previous one was, and it was also a much better story than the previous one. It used nostalgia and like your memories of the first one, especially in very smart, clever ways. It's by the team who did Ready or Not. So I mean, I absolutely love that movie. Probably my favorite movie of 2019. So it was on point with as far as like the cleverness and like the way they made characters like well written and entertaining to watch and things like that. I thought David Arquette killed it. He was my favorite of the returning characters in this one. I probably solidified Dewey as my favorite character in the entire series. And yeah, I mean, it was the scariest one probably since the first. Had some of the best set pieces since the second one. Best opening since the first. Third act was probably the best since the first. So yeah, well, I was extremely happy with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. One of the things that really stood out to me, and it was really like the first scene that I was like, holy crap, was the dialogue. The way this movie was written, the script was so good. Like the dialogue between the characters and the conversations that happened throughout and the different set pieces was done so well. And that was one of the main reasons why the characters became so interesting, like a lot of the new ones. You didn't really need to rely on the legacy characters in this movie at all. Like they were very much, supporting casts. So that really did it for me, and I was like completely shocked with that. But the movie as a whole, like it was very much a whodunit, like a lot of the other ones are. But I
Yeah, I
think
mean
they
that's
did it.
basically the format, right?
Yeah, and they did it. They did it in a very clever way, and didn't really rehash. And the stuff that they did rehash, they turned it on its head. So movie kept you thinking. It was without a doubt a fun ride. I did end up liking the lead, Melissa Barrera. I'd probably say that she was. I don't know if she was the weakest out of the cast, but she was one of the weakest. But I still enjoyed her character quite a bit. I enjoyed her more when she was with other characters, like her sister. But by herself, she definitely wasn't as interesting. The movie was incredibly, what is even the word? It was just, it knew what it wanted to do, and it just went out and just like, it was like a home run in every way. It was very confident in what it wanted to do, which was
pulled no punches with its like meta-ness
Yeah.
and absolutely like skewering Hollywood of the last like
Mhm.
decade, and like sequels, legacy sequels, movie fans, movie culture on the internet, film Twitter. It's awesome. Doug, I'd be interested in you watching this one since you thought the first one, when you rewatched it recently, was so like 90s.
Mhm.
So this one obviously does not feel 90s, and like they very much they make fun of like the 90s vibe of like the original like a lot. So whenever
That's
it
cool
gets
that because like Scream is a very meta film,
Mhm.
so it's cool that they did that in this movie too.
Yeah,
I think
the writing was very very intelligent. It was a very very well written script. What more than I expected.
Yeah, and one of my friends actually saw it without seeing any of the previous movies, and
Oh.
she liked it. And she enjoyed it. Like, so it works even if you haven't, but you really should see at least the first one.
Do you need to see the other ones? Because
you don't need to. The first
you
one's
really
the
don't.
the first one you need, in my opinion, you really
Should.
you should see the 1st
You'll
one.
benefit the
You're gonna
most.
miss. Yeah, you're gonna miss a lot.
Mhm.
The second one couldn't hurt either, but definitely the third and fourth aren't necessary.
Interesting.
Definitely the most brutal, I think, probably since the first one, too. Like it was the violence. Like it wasn't like a gore fest, but it was pretty violent, and
it was very violent for a slasher flick.
Yeah, and I guess
like-
inventive with the way that the violence happened is probably the thing that made me like jump the most. I was like, holy shit, like that's how they're doing that type of thing. So
yeah, it was definitely the most brutal one since the first one. I wouldn't say it was more, just because the Drew Barrymore part in the first one,
yeah, that was
tops
rough.
anything.
Yeah.
But outside of that scene, it's probably might even be more brutal than the 1st one. All right,
definitely see it, Doug.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, I mean, if it's the Ready or Not people is probably enough to get me on board.
And it feels like one of their movies, like especially with the dialogue, like what I said.
Is it true that one of the characters still has like a landline, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel realistic.
Yeah, I mean, it's her parents, not hers. But yes, it's still weird when anyone has a landline in 2022. and obviously, like they make comments about it too, because I mean, it's a high school girl. Like what the fuck is a landline like ringing for? But all right. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into our most anticipated films of 2022.
Are you guys ready to jump into our most anticipated movies?
Yeah, let's do it. Feature presentation.
2022. This will be I'm not gonna jinx it.
Yeah, it's just What are you gonna say? The year that everything we put out,
you have to say
everything we include on the list will actually come out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean,
I wouldn't.
And then I was like, that's as stupid as the comment you were gonna make earlier about
exactly
how the pandemic was gonna end.
You should do like a supercut of all these
I have some
where we made mentions of this.
Yeah, exactly. I have some movies on my list that were on my list last year.
And the year before.
Not for me, but you. Yeah, you
I do.
One that could be on your 2020 list, which is insane to think about. And yeah, wow. All right, so yeah, let's do it. Most anticipated films of 2022. What we're gonna do is go through everyone's list from 10 to 1. So we'll start with Corey's number 10, then Doug's number 10, my number 10, etc. We'll all talk about each of these films whenever somebody talks about it and it's on somebody else's list. When it gets to them, we'll just denote where it landed on that person's list and move on, since we've already talked about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a decent amount of overlap.
Yeah, and then we have some honorable mentions at the end. There's only a few that I threw on there, but you know what? Maybe should we start with the honorable mentions, or do we want some surprise on what didn't make it onto the list?
I think we start with the honorable mentions, because if you're going from lowest to highest, technically the honorable mentions are the lowest.
All right, let's do that then. All right, so the 3 honorable mentions that I threw on the list in alphabetical order. The first one's Babylon. It's a new Damien Chazelle movie. So the director of Whiplash, La La Land, and First Man. This one's with Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and Tobey Maguire. It comes out at Christmas. From what we know, it's like an R-rated film that takes place in Hollywood when they're transitioning from the silent films to talkies. It's got a big ensemble cast outside of those 3, but anything Damien Chazelle does at this point, I'm personally excited for.
This was surprising to me that it didn't make your list, because it seems like they did everything they could do to make this a Murph movie.
Yeah, I think it was the cast that didn't
really
get it on it. I like all those actors, but there's one movie on here that is entirely because of, I don't even know the plot. It's entirely because of the cast and director. And that cast just did a whole lot more for me. So, but we'll get to that later.
The next one surprises me too.
You want to mention it?
Yeah, Creed 3. So I've never gotten into the Creed franchise, so probably not an honorable mention to me, although I think Michael B. Jordan is directing this movie. It's his directorial debut, right?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool about it. And good for him that he's finally gave me the opportunity to direct. It kind of feels a little bit like Rocky, in that Sylvester Stallone directed on the Rocky movie. So it's kind of cool that now Michael B. Jordan's directing. But you guys were much bigger Creed fans. So what kept this out of the top 10 for you both?
For me, it was Creed 2 falling a bit below the first one. If this was following Creed 1, this would definitely be on my top 10 list.
I honestly didn't even realize, and I mentioned this before, I did not even realize that this was coming out in 2022. I thought it was coming out in 2023. But I probably, even knowing that, I probably wouldn't have put it on my top 10, just because more so after the second one, I liked the second one a lot, but I kind of don't like it as much as the original. So I'm just like not looking forward to it as much. But we also haven't seen anything about it, so it's kind of
Yeah,
hard
do we even
to.
know the story on this one?
No,
No.
nothing. So it's hard to really be pumped for something that I don't really know what it's about. So that might
We know
change.
Stallone's not in it, which also impacted my thoughts on the movie.
That's so strange. I feel like he's gonna at least be in it for the beginning, and they're just not mentioning it. But I think he has to at least pass the torch. But we'll see.
I think
They
they're
haven't killed
considering
Stallone off
Creed.
yet.
I think they're considering Creed 2 as having passed the torch. No, they have not killed Rocky off yet.
You think they bring Mr. T back as Clever Lang?
Well, I think Jonathan Majors is supposed to play the villain, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Okay.
That's
Or
the
his
rumor,
opponent.
which would be awesome. I think he would be really good. The two of them would be good together. I don't know if have they ever acted together?
Opposite one another? I don't think
Yeah.
so. But I'm also like, I don't want them to do like a Clubber Lang Jr. Like, it'd be stupid if they're just going to repeat every villain. I hope he's an original character who just like create a new good, like, bad guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that comes out Thanksgiving.
He'll be Apollo Creed's other son. He had other kids.
Yeah, that's true. He does have other children. All right, and then the last one. I know you guys are not looking forward to this one.
No.
It is on my lit. I threw it on here. I put it on here strictly for the returning cast members.
Yeah.
And it's Jurassic World Dominion. If
Question
it was not
about
having Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum coming back, it would not be on any sort of list for me.
I completely agree. I think I would have this on my honorable mention as well, just because you got the OG cast, and that's enough to like make me want to see the movie. I just wish it like wasn't tied to that stupid Jurassic World franchise.
Yeah.
So one question, I could be making this up, but I thought I remember reading that I guess a rumor at this point that the original cast, the legacy cast, is in a large amount of this movie. Like
Yeah, they're supposed to be like an equal amount to Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Okay, so that has me a little bit more excited, I suppose, but I just don't like Jurassic World. I still haven't seen the second one. I probably should watch it, right?
No, don't. It'll make your hype for 3 go down. Just wait till 3 comes out and just go into it hoping this is the one that they've been
going blind.
Hope like this is the one they wanted to make the whole time, and the true like sequel to Jurassic Park.
2's not even like really doesn't feel like a dinosaur movie. It's like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, really? A weird haunted house sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
What? Now I kind of want to watch it. That makes no sense to me.
It's nothing like it does not have the Jurassic Park feel at all to it.
Once it gets to the second half, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even before, like they're only on the island for like the first maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I
forgot about the whole beginning part.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they have to rescue Blue.
Yeah, they have to rescue a lot of the dinosaurs.
But mainly Blue is the one that you care about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're supposed to care about that.
Shit about Blue. The only dinosaur I care about is the T-Rex on the original one. Everyone else can go fuck themselves.
Is the T-Rex from the original?
The Brontosaurus from the original Jurassic Park I cared about. I'm lying. Because when that Brontosaurus died, or Brachiosaurus, I was that actually got me in the movies. Spoiler alert to a 3-year-old movie. But all right, that's it for honorable mentions. So what do you say we get to our top 10?
Yeah.
Corey, kick us off with your number 10 pick.
So I went with Sonic 2. With you got Jim Carrey's return as Dr. Robotnik, this ridiculous sequel. I don't know what it is, but this trailer, talk about getting amped up. This trailer hit me right in the feels.
I mean, it's a fun trailer.
The first one was just like stupidly enjoyable, but I guess because this one is like running on like all cylinders, it just like they're completely just going in on the ridiculousness. It seems like so much fun. And you got
Paramount has put out 2 Sonic the Hedgehog movies in between when Top Gun Maverick was originally dated and when it's actually coming out.
that is so sad.
Yeah.
That really is insane. I didn't even think about that. But
Same studio.
I mean the trailer was good. Trailer was cut really well. It definitely was meant to do exactly that, to, get you pumped. But I think the formula that they kind of created with the first one, if they execute it well, it'll probably be better than the first one. I think it potentially could be. They're not like unbelievably great movies or a great movie, but it was fun. So I think, like, in Jim Carrey being stupid and ridiculous like he is in the 90s, it's fun to see. And it seems like, the new characters that they're introducing, Knuckles and Tails, seem to be pretty awesome. They got Idris Elba to play Knuckles, and I think it's the voice actor from the animated series, right, who's playing Knuckles?
Or
You mean
Tails?
Tails, sorry. Yes.
I have
Tails.
no idea. I didn't realize that.
I know it's a voice actor. I don't know if it's
Yeah, I
original.
thought it was the same actress who played Tails in the animated series. I could be wrong, but fact check me. But I thought I
forgot
saw that.
Tails had a voice.
Yeah.
But it was the animated series you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, just it looks like a lot of fun. I think it'll also end up doing well. I think it'll do well in theaters. When does it come out? April?
Yeah, April 8th, I believe.
Yeah, I think I could see this doing very well. The first
I
one
could see
did
this
well.
thing doing like gangbusters in theaters.
Yeah.
I guess not gangbusters, but I could see it.
I could.
Like how Venom 2 did
the
really
first-
well. I could see
first
this
one-
being like a Venom 2.
The first one killed, Doug.
The first did very well, and it got cut off by the pandemic.
Yeah. This
It
one
probably would have
could.
made another like 20, 30 million if it wasn't for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the US.
Yeah, I mean, this would definitely be.
200 million.
I'd have my eye on this on the box office draft for sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that this will definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely a good pick.
Be a breakout sequel.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I could see this one being. I could see this movie being one of the films, one of the sequels that ends up being better than the original. Like, it doesn't happen very often, but I think that this could end up being something like that.
Yeah, I get the impression it will be better.
Yeah.
First one was enjoyable. Like, I'm going to see this one. It's just not something I'm like pumped to see, but it's something I'll definitely see.
Yeah, that trailer got me all kinds of amped up.
Well, you got Robotnik is now like full Robotnik, which didn't happen until like the end of the other movie.
Yeah.
And then you got Knuckles and Tails, which we didn't have before. So it feels like it should be a lot bigger than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't just be like a buddy movie with Sonic and Cyclops. I forgot his real name.
Yeah.
Whose name am I trying to think of?
I forgot his
James
Marsden.
Marsden.
Yeah.
The first movie was really just like them hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that they brought back a lot of the characters from the first one, like Robotnik's random assistant. Like, he was hilarious. And they brought him back. So the movies, it just seems like it's just very self-aware. Like, it knows that it's just ridiculous. And I kind of hope that they continue to do that. So definitely excited for that one. So that's my number 10.
Cool. Doug?
For my number 10, I picked The Black Phone, which I still don't really know a ton about it other than Ethan Hawke appears to kidnap a kid, put him in a basement, wears a creepy mask, and then little ghost children start appearing.
I mean, yeah.
Via talking on the Black Phone. But yeah, it's a Scott Derrickson Blumhouse film. It's early word is super creepy. It was supposed to come out in February. They pushed it to the summer. So clearly they have a lot of faith in it. It's on all of our lists. We'll get to where Corey and I ranked it later. But yeah, it just looks scary. When most horror movies don't look scary from trailers, and this one actually was like, it looks original and creepy. So that's got me like hooked right then and there. And Ethan Hawke looks like he's giving a tour de force performance for a horror
Creep.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he seems like a big creep in the movie.
Mhm.
Ethan
Yeah, and
Hawke seemed to like kill that role.
he's become like Derrickson's muse in a lot of ways. Like he's in a lot of his movies. Him in Sinister, he was really good. Not incredibly creepy, but he was very good. And that movie's insanely scary. So, it seems like it's going to be something along the lines as grounded, but like, unknown type of horror. So definitely excited.
All right. My number 10 is another Blumhouse movie. I swapped Scream since I'd already seen it by the time we did this episode and threw in Halloween Ends. So Halloween Kills was definitely a step down from the 2018 Halloween, but I'm excited to see how David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, and Jimmy Lee Curtis and John Carpenter finish out this trilogy. My belief is that they kind of forced a second movie into things, and this is what they had really come up with originally for their follow-up to Halloween when they originally wanted to do movies back to back. I could be speculating, but I'm excited to see how they end things with Laurie Strode and Michael Myers once and for all, because I truly doubt we are getting another one with Jamie Lee Curtis after this. I mean, she's in her 60s now. I mean, unless she comes back to the franchise again in 20 years and do another reboot, and she's in her 80s. But
I mean, it's called Ends, so you can't call something Ends and not end it.
Yeah, I feel like.
Just kidding. Of course, they're gonna have another one.
Exactly. Mike Myers will be back.
He will be back
just in another timeline.
Yeah,
it's another timeline.
I feel like this movie is gonna end up making, once this is all said and done, I think the second one will play better. To your point, I think like it was just like a stopgap. I mean, that's what it felt like. It felt like it was just an unnecessary like half sequel. Like they told half the story. So I think it will end up playing a lot better once the story's complete. But it definitely was disappointing after how awesome the first one was. So it'll be interesting to see if they can, like hit a home run with this one.
All right. What do we got? Corey, your number 9 pick?
So my number 9 was Spider-Man, the Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel. I don't even know. I'm so excited for this, but just based on how good the first one was, but I don't really know. I can't even imagine like how this is going to play out, especially since it's a 2-parter. But based on how good the first one was, I mean, I can't even imagine what this is going to be like. We get more Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen. I hope a lot of the supporting cast comes back, like the other Spider-Men, make some cameos. Oscar Isaac is in it, right? He's going to be in it. 2099, right?
2099, yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which that Spider-Man's really cool. So it seems like they're going to expand this universe a bit, even more. And the one thing that I actually read this, I think it was yesterday, that as the movie goes into different universes, the art design is going to completely change. So like,
you can see it in the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to like completely,
or the teaser or whatever the hell that thing was.
So that sounds really cool, because I remember we saw this in IMAX 3D, and it was
so sick.
So much fun. So just for that alone, I'm very much looking forward to this.
Like this didn't make my top 10. It would have been like 11, 12 or 13. But I'm confident it probably will be in my top 10 movies of the year, based on the last 2 Sony animated movies, Mitchell's vs. the Machines and the first Spider-Verse. I just didn't go sequel heavy or comic book superhero heavy on my list. I went very original for the most part, even though I started by talking about a sequel. But yeah, definitely pumped for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I went much higher than you guys, I think, on this movie. I won't
You like the
reveal
original
where
way
I
more
went,
than we do,
but
though.
yeah, I mean, I think the original is probably like one of my favorite superhero movies. Definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie. I love that movie. I kind of just we haven't seen a lot from the teaser, but I just off of that first movie, I just know this movie is I'm gonna love this movie. I don't really doubt it. It's a lot of the original core team that did Spider-Verse are involved. I just don't see how they screw this up. And I think it's a fresh concept. All the Spider-Man came into Miles' universe. Now Miles is going to go into throughout the Spider-Verse and hop through the other universes. So it seems like a natural progression for him. Get to see Miles as throughout the movie already being Spider-Man basically at this point. So interested to see where they take that character and how they grow it. But it's gonna be awesome.
Makes me wonder what the villain's going to be, or who.
I think it's Spider-Man 2099, right?
Is it?
Oh, I just assumed he was the villain.
I doubt he ends up being the villain, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a villain in every single one they go into. I think it's going to be much bigger than the last one, hence why this is part one of a 2-part sequel.
Yeah, I love the idea of splitting it up and just going big.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, Doug, you're number 9.
Yeah, I did the long-awaited Flash movie. I don't particularly love. I don't know what the actor's name is. Who plays Barry Allen in the Flash movies?
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. He's not a great Barry Allen in my opinion, but I love the Flashpoint storyline, which seems like where they're going with the Flash movie. I just think it's a great story. It's probably one of my favorite Flash stories. There's a Flashpoint cartoon that I thought was pretty excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been telling Murph to watch it.
Yeah, you should.
Consistently for at least over a year now, probably multiple years.
Yeah, it's good.
I very clearly remember you saying it when we were down in Florida.
Yeah, probably another year from now you'll watch it, and then I'll get a text about how I need to watch this Flashpoint cartoon. But yeah, I mean, so that Flashpoint kind of got me a little happy or psyched about it just because I love the story. And then you're telling me that you're going to throw Keaton in there. Then we're going to get Keaton reprising Batman 89. I mean, we know he's going to wear the suit. We know we're going to get the car. I mean, that's enough for it. I think Keaton alone is probably enough to get it on my top 10. But combined with the Flash story and everything, I don't know. I think this movie is going to be a lot of fun. We're getting a lot of nostalgia, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, after No Way Home, who doesn't want to see more like returning OG versions of characters? I mean, I'm so who the fuck isn't pumped about Michael Keaton returning? And I'm even excited about Ben Affleck coming back.
Is he still coming back? I know he filmed stuff, but I wasn't sure if they like cut him or not. He'll definitely be in it.
He's in it.
He's in it. So yeah, I mean, seeing both of them in it, that'll be a lot of fun. Again, this is one of the ones that fell right outside of my top 10. Anything else about the Flash? Or shall we move on?
No, we can move on.
All right. My number 9 was The Black Phone, which we already talked about, coming out this summer. Corey, you're number 8.
So my number 8 is the highly anticipated, Top Gun Maverick. The sequel to the classic Tom Cruise 80s flick starring Val Kilmer. This movie...
well, I mean, technically it's starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah, well, co-starring Val Kilmer. Yeah, I mean, this film I'm like incredibly excited to see. It just seems like it's going to be, a good classic, classic follow up to the movie that came out so long ago. And it's kind of introducing new characters that are connected to, characters from the original. So it seems like it's going to be a well executed legacy sequel. Also, seeing this in IMAX, it looks like it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, that's what I want to see this on like the biggest screen possible.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know there's nothing else more to say. If you love Top Gun, I mean, got to be hyped for Top Gun Maverick. So this has been on my list like now, like I guess this is like the third year.
Yeah,
probably. At this point.
Sounds about right.
Once it finally comes out, it's just gonna be, perfect.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend, baby.
I think IMAX it'll be really good. I saw the preview for this in IMAX. Before
back in 2019.
And yeah, it was awesome at IMAX.
I don't even think we've gotten a second trailer for it yet. It's been the same one in theaters for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Probably. But like those jet engines fire up and your seats rattling. It's like
you got the music.
Cool.
Dum-dum.
Yeah, Cruise is going to bring the heat and do some crazy shit. So I can't wait. Doug, you're number 8.
I picked the movie that I will not have to go anywhere to watch. Turning Red, the latest Pixar movie, where this appears that the main character has kind of like a Teen Wolf situation where she finds out that her family members have this ability that runs in the family where they transform into instead of a werewolf, like a giant red bear. And it's like whenever they get like anxious, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've seen the trailer a million times because it seemed like this was going to come out in theaters. And I always thought it was pretty funny. Watching this little girl have this issue where every time she gets anxious, she's like a giant red bear, just
and instead of blushing and shit, she's turned into a panda.
Yeah, nothing to help your anxiety more than being fucking giant and a bright color. So yeah, it just seemed like a fun movie.
I like how it takes place in the early 2000s too. It's like a period piece for whatever reason.
I don't think I even caught on to the fact that it was a period piece. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I would have paid money to see this in theaters. I thought it looked fun, and
that's what I didn't think about. I didn't think about streaming movies when I made this top 10, so I kind of kept it to theatrical only, I believe. But this one I'm definitely hyped for as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. So, it's Pixar. I'm sure. At the very least, it'll be decent.
Exactly. It's most definitely not going to be bad.
Yeah.
All right. My number 8 is The Fabelmans. It's a new Steven Spielberg picture, starring Michelle Williams, Paul Dano, Seth Rogen. We've talked about it before. This one is a semi-autobiographical one that he co-wrote with Tony Kushner, who wrote Lincoln and West Side Story. Spielberg hasn't co-wrote anything in a very long time. I mean, I know he wrote Close Encounters and maybe one other or two others after that. So it's been a while. But this seems like it could be a swan song potentially for Spielberg, with ending with something so personal to himself, about the start of his making movies when he was a kid and about his family. I'm hoping John Williams does a score. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the last score he ever writes, with the anticipation that he had already completed his Indiana Jones 5 score. That one doesn't come out till 2023, but I wouldn't be surprised if he writes that prior to The Fabelmans, because that's going to be an easier score to write. So yeah, I'm just hoping if this is the end for Spielberg, that he goes out with a bang. I'm going to be going to see West Side Story finally this coming week. Word is that one was fantastic. So this is the final act. I am eagerly anticipating seeing what he's got up his sleeve.
What makes you think that this is going to be the final act? You just because it's so personal?
Yeah, he's not young.
Yeah, no, he's not. Neither is John Williams. It's like
No,
No,
I didn't even.
I mean,
no, he is
John
not.
Williams is substantially older. He's like 91. And Spielberg's like what, mid to late 70s?
Yeah.
Mid 70s, probably 75, 76.
Yeah, if I had to
Crazy.
guess, he's in his 70s.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that it's so personal, like,
Yeah.
and that he passed on Indiana Jones 5, that also like kind of plays into what I'm thinking. Unless like those type of movies just isn't what he wants to do anymore, and he just wants to strictly do these types of dramas. But I know like a musical is something that he'd always wanted to do in his career. He's got that finally done with. Then passing on his biggest franchise, the final installment of that, and then doing this film that's like based on him, just feels like it could be the end. I don't get that he will still be doing movies, like he will very much still be a producer and things like that. But I just don't get the feel like the Scorsese vibe. Like Scorsese will be making movies till he dies. I don't necessarily get that vibe with Spielberg.
Yeah.
Or like Clint Eastwood.
I was thinking Clint Eastwood is gonna continue making movies and acting until
exactly.
he dies.
I think he's branched off into his own like, I mean, he's his own brand, so like there's so many other things he can do outside of directing. But I could be wrong. And yeah, that comes out on Thanksgiving, right when Creed 3 comes out as well. All right. Oh, and The Flash also. We didn't mention The Flash when it comes out. That's November as well, early November. Corey, your number 7.
So, speaking of Scorsese, his next film, Killers of the Flower Moon, based on a book, if I remember correctly, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brendan Fraser, Jesse Plemons, Robert De Niro, probably
sick
more,
cast.
Yeah, more people that are in it. Crazy cast. It's another mystery drama, film from Scorsese. We haven't seen anything about it, but just in terms of, Scorsese doing another film with these actors has me incredibly excited. And that's the only thing I need at this point. We actually probably, because this movie, comes out in the fall?
No release date yet. It's an Apple movie, but it will be widely released theatrically. My expectations would be like a November, December, October at the earliest.
Yeah, because they filmed it last summer, I think.
They filmed it during 2021. I don't know if production is even complete yet, but we've seen some production stills, and that's it.
Yeah.
Some publicity stills, but
I'm excited to see.
Finally seeing DiCaprio and De Niro together in a Scorsese movie. Like they've done movies before together, but never under like Scorsese's stewardship. I mean, he's their two muses. Like, so finally seeing this, it's kind of like The Irishman, where you got Pacino and De Niro, and with Joe Pesci as well in a Scorsese movie. Now we're finally getting De Niro and DiCaprio.
And Brendan Fraser in a fucking Scorsese movie. Like, I mean, his career's taking a turn now again too. So
yeah, he's got one that I think probably will come out this year. A Darren Aronofsky movie that actually sounds really cool. The Whale.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But I'm not 100% positive if it will be this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's having a comeback, and then Plemons is, I think, technically the star of this movie.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, which is interesting.
So, yeah,
and he's an unbelievable actor. I like almost everything that he's in.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list for sure. So,
cool. All right, then let's go to Doug's number 7.
Yeah, so my number 7, I don't really know a whole lot about, but what I do know about it,
I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
What do you know anything about it?
We've got a
I can list the 3 things I know about the movie. The title is named Nope, which is the movie that I picked. Jordan Peele is directing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Jordan Peele movie.
That is
and
correct.
Daniel Kaluuya is starring in it.
Yep.
Correct.
That's all I know. Those are my 3 things. But I feel like those are 3 things that make me want to see this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think this was the only other movie other than the Black Phone that made all our lists. And that's all we know. We've seen a poster of it. Poster gives nothing away.
Nothing.
We know, it's Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun.
Do we even know when it's coming out?
I think July.
July? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually I was half expecting for us to get a trailer for this on Christmas Day like we did for us. Yeah, I thought he was going to do that.
I think we might get a Super Bowl spot. That wouldn't surprise me.
That would be cool.
Because it's the middle of February. At that point, it's only 4 months. It's only 5 months away. March, April, May. Yeah, March, April, May, June, July. 5 months away. So I think that's what we'll probably get. But yeah, that's the power of Jordan Peele at this point. He's made 2 movies, both of them very good. In my opinion, Get Out, fucking fantastic. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and I would put Us a lot lower than Get Out, but it was still enjoyable.
As I would.
I still had a fun time with it, even the fucking weird ass story he came up with.
Us gets better the more you watch it, because I haven't seen it in a while, but I've seen it I think 3 times, and I enjoyed it a lot more the second and third time than I did the first, because there's just things that you connect the dots on with how with the weird story and the way that it's told. But definitely still not. It's crazy.
Story.
Yeah, definitely not as good as Get Out, regardless.
Yeah.
So.
All right. What does that leave us with? My number 7, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I've got Don't Worry, Darling. It's the follow-up to Booksmart from Olivia Wilde. Not a follow-up as in the sequel, but her next original film with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles. From what I understand, it's like a psychological thriller type movie. Takes place in the 1950s with them being married. I believe she's like a housewife. We've got a 10-second little teaser of it so far. Don't really know much about it, but I love Booksmart. It's one of my favorite films of 2019. And I'm excited to see what these 3 do together. It was originally going to have Shia LaBeouf in the male lead role, but he got fired for being himself. And Harry Styles got
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I'd say Harry Styles. I don't know if he's an upgrade, but he's a very good actor. So
he's an upgrade for
for Olivia Wilde. Yeah, they're together now. Worked out for her. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see some his acting chops in a real starring role. I saw him in Dunkirk. He was good in his supporting role in that. He was good in his quick scene in Eternals. But I'm excited to see if he's as good as Justin Timberlake was in the best things that he's done, or better, hopefully better. So yeah, that comes out in September. Corey, you're number 6.
So I went with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Everyone, I feel like everyone, even if you haven't seen No Way Home at this point, you've seen, if you're interested, has seen the teaser first trailer for this movie. Follows Doctor Strange after everything that's happened with WandaVision and No Way Home. The multiverse is splitting into pieces, and it's a direct follow-up sequel to the original Doctor Strange. So we have returning characters from that. And also a return from Sam Raimi. He's directing, his first Marvel movie in a long time since Spider-Man. So it seems like it's going to be a wild ride into the craziness that is Doctor Strange. It's probably not going to be as dark as I would hope that it could be. But it seems like, they're going to really go all in on, kind of exploring the multiverse. They've definitely set it up, which I think was pretty brilliant how they've done it. It seems like now that everyone is kind of all in on the multiverse and like what that is, and that they're going to kind of break it open and just explore a lot of that. We're probably gonna have a lot of cameos. I think they just finished reshoots. I mean, there's so many rumors flying around about like Tom Cruise is gonna be in it as like another version of Iron Man. I am hearing, like
Yeah, I've heard rumors of people that had been close to getting roles like
Yep.
popping up, like John
Krasinski
Krasinski,
is
Captain
apparently
America,
gonna be in it. Yeah,
maybe Emily Blunt as Black Widow.
yeah.
Um,
Like
Never
they're
heard
just
that
gonna
one.
have they're gonna have fun with it. Krasinski, I heard he's gonna be in it as Mr. Fantastic, kind of. I think he's gonna actually end up, starting, I guess, whatever Fantastic Four thing that they're gonna be doing. I hope, at least. But even if he's in it just as like a funny cameo, that would be fun. Chris Evans would be great, as Human Torch. Like that would be fun. I hope they do stuff like that. But as a whole, like the movie, I enjoyed the first one a lot. And
they really should go batshit insane. Like they should have Ben Affleck as Daredevil. Like all these fucking people.
Well, there's a rumor that he was at least, if anything, approached. They asked him because once
they want
Spider-Man,
killer numbers. They like this is what people want to see. So
and like recently,
it obviously wouldn't do what Spider-Man did, but it could do pretty. It would give it a big bump.
The
I
exciting
don't know
thing
that this is a good idea though.
Well,
too fan servicey for you.
I'm just like, it's just like the machine. Like keep feeding the fan service machine. It just keeps wanting more.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
I mean, it's fan service, but it's stuff that has never been done before. So like that's why I'm kind of okay with it. Like obviously, if they keep doing it, like it's not going to be fun. But I think that now that they know that people, because No Way Home has made so much damn money, they know that people are all in on like the multiverse and like exploring that. Do it for a little while. Like have fun with it. Bring in characters from other Marvel movies that failed. Bring in fucking Michael B. Jordan as, whatever his name is from whoever he played, the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. Like bring in random characters and just have fun with it. But obviously with Doctor Strange, there's only so much they can do. But I think that movie's gonna be really fun. I think it'll probably end up being better than the first one, just based on what they're lining up. So I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. Spoiler for mine, but I also had this as my number 6, which is kind of funny that we both picked 6 for this, but I have more superhero movies on my list, and this one's actually probably a little lower. I would say I'm not quite as excited about this one, especially after the trailer, which I found to be kind of ho-hum. But I mean, Sam Raimi, it's multiverse, so I'm sure it'll be entertaining. It's Evil Doctor Strange.
I almost wonder
if a good point.
No, continue, Murph.
You bring up a good point, Doug. Like this probably would have made my top 10 if it wasn't for the trailer.
Yeah,
the trailer,
just like some other comic book movies likely would have made my top 10 if there was a trailer. Some that you're going to be talking about.
It didn't play off like a trailer.
We already have talked about.
Half of it did, but it was just it was weird. It was definitely a weird way to do it.
Yeah, it was like really poorly cut, which was surprising. I don't know what was going on there, if they just needed to throw something together to put it behind Spider-Man or why we got the trailer we got, but they had WandaVision like kind of building up to it, and that, I don't know. Yeah, it just felt like a missed opportunity, but I don't know. I trust in Raimi that he'll make it creepy and have a cool horror feel.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely have a horror feel, and it'll be like that campy horror, which will be, I think, will really
it could work
perfect for this. Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else about Doctor Strange?
Nah.
No.
All right. My number 6 is Jackass Forever.
Yeah.
This was one of my 2 movies that were on my list last year. I believe it was maybe a similar ranking, maybe a little bit lower last year. But finally pumped for this to be out next month, early February, February 4th. It comes out. Tickets just went on sale today. But yeah, pumped for Knoxville and the gang to be back. Obviously, we've lost. I think since the last time we've talked about this movie, Bam Margera got cut from it. I think he was supposed to be in it when we originally talked about it last year. But I never thought Bam was like that funny anyway, so not a loss for me. Hopefully he figures out his shit, but I'm fine with him not being in it. Got everyone else, excluding Ryan Dunn, who passed, but along with some new cast members, some cameos, Eric Andre, Machine Gun Kelly. They're both in the trailer. This one is just one that I'm looking to go with my friends and fucking laugh my ass off. I know it's going to be an hour and a half of laughing really hard, and that is all I want and need from this movie. It's cathartic, and I am pumped to see it in a few weeks. All right. What do we got? Corey, you're number 5.
So my number 5 was The Black Phone. Just to reiterate, if you like horror movies, if you've seen Scott Derrickson's other movies, Sinister, Doctor Strange 1, he's done 1 or 2 other horror movies that escape me at this moment, but definitely check out this trailer and check out this movie. You know, I'm definitely one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I'm so upset that it got pushed back. I was bummed. I was excited to see it in February.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see it soon, but I'm never upset if a movie gets a smaller movie gets a prime release date because they have faith in it. It only means we're going to be in for a treat in the summer.
Yeah, everything that I've heard from the screeners that they've seen, people have been like, holy shit, this movie's fucking amazing and terrifying. So that's good. I definitely will wait for that.
Yeah. All right. Doug, you're number 5.
So my number 5, to keep the superhero train going, is Thor: Love and Thunder, which is Taika Waititi's follow-up to Thor Ragnarok. Looks like it's going to be very much in the same comedic vein that Thor Ragnarok was. And we've got Natalie Portman back in her role as Jane
Foster.
And taking up or becoming a version of Thor, I believe, which is kind of cool.
Lady Thor, I believe is what her name is.
Lady Thor, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool that you get Natalie Portman kind of taking her old role back on. And Jane Foster was never really that interesting of a character to me, so hopefully she gets a lot more to do with Lady Thor. I think she will. And I could see her. I mean, we know Natalie Portman can be funny. We've seen her on SNL, and she's definitely got a sense of humor. And Chris Hemsworth has a great comedic sense, in my opinion.
I always thought they had good chemistry together.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be fun, a fun movie. I've seen like some of the outfits.
Going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be. I think it's just going to be fun. I hope it's just bigger and it's just a bigger version of Ragnarok. I hope.
If we got a trailer for this one, it absolutely would have been in my top 10. Like it's going to be great. The cast is so good. Like seeing Christian Bale in an MCU movie. Like
I didn't even mention Christian Bale.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
The character that he's playing, because I've read the comics like that. This is based on. The character is so cool. He's a great villain. So I mean, Christian Bale is an amazing actor. So I imagine he's gonna like really like blow this out of the water. So I think it's just it has potential to be like. I think it could end up being better than the second Thor movie or the third Thor movie.
Ragnarok. Yeah. I mean, It could be.
It very well could be, just based on, you know, the characters that they're bringing back, the story that they seem to be telling, that kind of thing. So
It'll be tough to top Ragnarok, but it's possible.
I think it is possible, yeah.
Like, I'm hoping this is like the second of a trilogy that Taika does with Thor.
Yeah, that would be
And
cool.
if that's the case, then we all know the second one tend to be fucking fantastic in superhero trilogies.
Running on all cylinders.
I mean, there are definitely cases where the second one is a letdown, Iron Man, for example. But
Thor: The Dark World.
I mean, for every Iron Man, there's Dark Knight, and so on and so forth.
Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah, if you go outside the superhero world.
Oh, I thought we were just going sequels.
Oh yeah, no, I was just talking about superheroes.
Is that what you didn't mention Godfather?
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
All right. My number 5, going back to Pixar, is Lightyear. So it's their second film of the year, coming out in June, hopefully in theaters. Should be in theaters.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be in theaters. What I didn't realize about this one until very lately is that Pete Docter actually wrote this one. He's the sole writer of it. Pete Docter is the head of Pixar ever since Lasseter got fired. He's directed Soul, Inside Out, Up, Monsters Inc. He was one of the original 4 people that came up with Toy Story, like that series. So this is in as good hands as possible for a spinoff film. That seemed like we've talked about, like the fact that it's kind of weird what it's about. Like,
I still don't really know what's like. What I don't understand what's going on.
It's the original Buzz. It's real life Buzz Lightyear.
But like
it's the adventures of the real Buzz Lightyear before he became a toy. So like what he does in this movie is going to inspire like a toy company making action figures.
So in this like 90s and like 90s Pixar Toy Story world, there's a Star Command with a fucking Buzz Lightyear flying around.
Yes, exactly. And it's played by Chris Evans, not Tim Allen. So yes, I know you're having a hard time wrapping your head around this concept.
How do they have like Star Command and all like this futuristic gear, and then like on Earth it's just like fucking 90s?
I don't know. That like Star Command is very well budgeted from the government, I guess. How do we go to fucking space? How do we go to space in the 60s? But television fucking sucked in the 60s. Like,
who's playing Zurg?
I don't know. We do not know yet who is playing Zurg, but I imagine somebody will be playing Zurg.
So this actually probably doesn't take place in the 90s because like there was already a toy made after him. It's probably
it could be the 80s. Yeah. But yeah, it looks like a very strong sci-fi movie. I love the fucking animation and like the look and tone of it, like the Bowie cover in the trailer. It looks way better than it has any right to be so far. And like, I know it's like a fucking stupid idea for a spinoff, but they've sold me already at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super confused about the story, but I know it's going to be, I mean, this is on my list as well. I know it's going to be good. Like the story will be good enough that I'll forget about the fact that like this doesn't make sense with the Toy Story world.
I'm already waiting for your text messages after the movie.
About all the plot holes.
Thinking it.
Because it's confirmed it's supposed to take place prior to Toy Story.
Yes,
like this is how
it is about the man who inspires
the origin story. It's the origin story of Buzz Lightyear. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it looks good. Like the trailer was really good. They didn't show a lot.
It seems like this is Pixar's way of doing a sci-fi movie, and they realize, oh wait, we already have a character that we can throw into this world, and it's a part of one of our most valuable IPs, and that's the way to make money nowadays. Like we do an Incredibles 2 and a Toy Story 4. That shit makes 600 million, 400 million. We do any original movie, it makes 100 something million, 200 million, 300 if they're really lucky. So this is just a way to make sure more butts go in the seats and ultimately enjoy the film.
Yeah, I just hope they don't run with it. Like,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it, but like, I don't need to see the Western of the real
Yeah,
Wall-E or like
Oh, you don't want to see that?
the Jurassic movie where where Rex is really from, or like I don't need to see like the spinoff
Fair.
of every fucking
Yeah.
character.
That's fair. That's fair. But with the Toy Story franchise, they haven't done wrong yet. I mean, every time you think it's
Yeah.
ridiculous for them to make another movie, they work.
I suppose
So-
you're
Yeah,
right.
I really
Yeah.
liked 4, and 4 seemed like a stupid idea.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like
Spoon,
it was a
Sporky or whatever.
closed book trilogy. Like, why the hell would they attempt to do a 4? And it worked as a strong epilogue to that trilogy.
Yep.
So yeah, we will talk about it in June. Corey, your number 4.
So I went with The Flash. I know we spoke about this before. But just seeing, we haven't even seen what Michael Keaton looks like in the
I mean,
suit.
we have seen what he looks like. Just
a silhouette, I suppose. But
well, no, I just meant we saw him in '89. What he looks
Yeah.
like in the suit.
Well,
But yeah,
I mean, the suit apparently is like pretty different too from concept art, but it's going to be awesome to see him in this movie. It seems like they're going to be utilizing him more in further films or further properties after this, Batgirl
Yeah.
and whatnot. And the thing that has me really excited about this is Michael Keaton's he's pretty picky, especially when it comes to Batman. Like, he pulled out of Batman Forever because he was, like, this is too weird for me. Like, this is not really what I want to do. So he pulled out of that movie. So for him to come back and, jump back into the suit, especially, with a script that I would hope was probably, up to snuff for him. I feel like this is going to be, it's going to be really, really good.
Keaton's actually being though like kind of cagey about this movie.
I think he
Like
has
some
to
of the
be.
comments I've heard, but like not like where it feels intentional. Like there was a while where he was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be in this movie." Like
That
they
was
kind of
because
like
the
they sent
pandemic.
me like an email or something, and
I
I
think that
don't
was
really
because of
know.
like they weren't DC wasn't willing to give in with his his demands for
Yeah,
the
I don't know
pandemic.
if he was
Like,
playing like hardball and that's what was going on,
I don't
and so
know.
he was just trying to do that, and then like he feel like he hadn't seen a script like pretty well into what seemed like production, and
Mm,
I don't know. Keaton's been kind of weird, but like I said, Keaton, he's kind of a
yeah,
weird dude.
he definitely is. But I think this has the potential to be really good. And I fucking hate Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. I really do. I do not like him as Barry Allen.
I
never
liked him
will.
in Justice League.
Fuck, I don't.
I mean, I guess he's not supposed to be like
He's
remotely
not. That's not
accurate
Barry Allen.
version of the character.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Yeah, it's like close, maybe like the closest to like Wally West,
yeah. Barry Allen's not
possibly.
nerdy like that, and it annoys me to my core. So, I mean, he's fine, but it's just not. It's not the character. But
Yeah,
I
because
think
Barry's kind of like feels more like he's more built like Captain America, and
yeah.
kind of more has like a similar attitude. So it'd be like if you like threw Ezra Miller as like is your new Captain America. Have fun.
He's like a misunderstood character. Like he makes bad decisions, but he's not nerdy in that way. Like intentionally, like I'm a nerd. Like he's nerdy, but not like that. So I think you're right. I think they casted him incorrectly. But he's doing the best that he can. I don't really like him as Barry Allen. So, but I liked him in the Fantastic Beasts movies, so maybe I'll like him in this movie, especially with Michael Keaton. Maybe they'll be good together. So we'll see what happens.
all right. Doug, you're number 4.
This is where I had Lightyear, which we just talked about. So
Cool. So
have it a
everyone's
little
looking
bit higher
forward to
than
that
you.
one.
You do, even though I find the story nonsensical.
Yeah, and you ended up with both Pixar movies on your top 10. Your top 10 is a lot of MCU and well, a lot,
Pixar.
yeah, MCU and well, a lot of comic book superhero movies and Pixar.
Yep. I'm just
Cool.
like the average movie going audience.
Your top 10 movies are probably gonna be like the top 10 movies of the year,
Yeah.
box office wise.
You're probably right.
With the exclusion of the Black Phone, that'll be in like the top 15, 20.
Yeah, I'm pretty basic.
And Turning Red, which won't be playing in theaters.
I have pretty basic taste.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. You have a lot of things that I'm excited about to sit. They just weren't in my top 10. And a lot of yours were in Corey's as well. So clearly people are looking forward to them. All right. My number 4 doesn't even have a title yet. It is currently an untitled David O. Russell film. So this is, Untitled David O. Russell project, according to Wikipedia. But this was the one I mentioned earlier where it was about the director and cast. All we know is that it's a period film about a doctor and a lawyer forming an unlikely partnership. I believe the doctor and the lawyer are Christian Bale and Margot Robbie. But this cast is just fucking stacked. Those two, John David Washington, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Robert De Niro, Mike Myers, Timothy Olyphant, Michael Shannon, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Andrea Riseborough, Matthias, can't pronounce his last name, sorry, dude, Alessandra Nivola, Taylor Swift, and some others. So, crazy cast. David O. Russell's put out a couple of my faves from the 2010s, The Fighter, Silver Linings Playbook. I enjoyed American Hustle to a degree, but I'm hoping this is more like those first two that I mentioned as far as quality. This is like one of the last Fox movies that are seemingly being made outside of like Avatar sequels, and like directed Disney Plus like type things. So yeah, it is definitely sad. And outside of like Searchlight, but yeah, this is like 20th Century Studios. Searchlight will be doing its thing with the smaller indie movies, but this will probably be like Disney, their 20th Century Studios' last like big budget adult film movie aimed for adults, like an R-rated movie. So comes out in November. Super psyched for it. This is like in a similar spot to where I had Don't Look Up last year, based on the cast. I think I had that at number 2 last year. But yeah, this cast is just as good, and I think JP and said it was better, and I think he might have been right. Like this might be a better cast overall than Don't Look Up, which is insane to think about. But yeah, let's go to Corey's number 3.
So my number 3 was Up. Nope.
So, wait, what?
We're doing a 2009 countdown.
Yeah. It's Jordan Peele's Nope. And yeah, this, again, I'm going to reiterate, just based on the information that we know, Jordan Peele's directing. Movie's called Nope. It's a horror movie. And, you know, what Daniel Kaluuya. So 4 things. It just, that's all you need. So hopefully we find out more information about this and we can be even more excited. I'm sure that whenever the trailer comes out, it's going to have some really clever song from the past, you know, as the track for the trailer. Hopefully we'll get it, you know, Super Bowl or, you know, sometime around there as soon as possible. But I'm definitely like super excited about this one, and it's funny because we know nothing about it.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right, Doug, you're number 3.
My number 3 is The Batman, the newest Batman movie coming out this year, starring Robert Pattinson. Yeah, I mean, the trailers have been pretty good for the most part. I think we all probably agree that the first trailer was the best trailer and the one that kind of got everyone the most excited about the movie. The trailers that followed haven't been quite as good, but I mean, it still looks like it's going to be, I mean, it's it just had to have Batman in the title for me to probably put this on the list. But I mean, from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. It looks like we're finally getting like one of the cool, gritty takes on Batman, take on the Riddler. We're not super campy jumpsuit Jim Carrey. We've got a Riddler that's kind of more in line with like a serial killer, leaving letters and notes. Probably something you'd see like in Seven or like one of those types of movies. And so it looks cool. Looks like kind of getting back to basics with Batman. He looks like his uniform and his Batmobile and everything just looks like very, very basic. None of it's like super high tech or anything like that. So I think it's a cool take on Batman. I hope it's good, but like I said, I think it just had to have Batman in the name in order to make it to my top 10.
It was so funny when we put this outline together. Like I made it and I was like, hey guys, throw in your top 10. And Doug's like, oh, can I just like put in the Batman 10 times? And then in my head, I was like, I don't think you're going to like my list. Like expecting it to be on there. You were really surprised that it wasn't. And this is another one that's right outside my top 10. Looking forward to it. I guess I created this around the time I saw that the third trailer came out.
Yeah.
But I hadn't yet seen it on a big screen, and I'm getting more and more hyped every time I see it on the big screen. Like I saw it with Scream both times. I think Zoe Kravitz looks fantastic. Her chemistry with Robert Pattinson looks great. All the supporting actors are all reliable. I'm pumped to see Andy Serkis as Alfred, just because I love that dude in anything, whether it's him in mocap or him just being himself. The looks at Paul Dano, very exciting. It's going to be a major step up from Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. There's still a lot of it that reminds me too much of the Nolan movies, like when they're in the Penguins Club. It kind of reminds me of that scene in The Dark Knight where Batman comes in and beats the shit out of Eric Roberts, his goons, and drops him down off the roof. But the Batmobile is a major step up from Nolan's trilogy. There's no doubt about that. And I think just focusing on this one period of time will be interesting because we've never really gotten that second year of Batman. We've gotten the first year with Batman and Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. That was like the very beginnings of Batman. I don't even know how old was Michael Keaton supposed to be like in Batman 1989? Because
he was
it
supposed
seems
to be
like
in his 20s.
But he's like a myth at that point, but he seems
Yeah.
like kind of established at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. I never really thought of it as him being like this new crime fighter.
But he doesn't look like a new crime fighter.
He doesn't look. He certainly does not.
Yeah, he was established as obviously as Bruce Wayne, but like as Batman, he was like people thought he was like a ghost. Like he was like just like
exactly
Baba Yaga, like a monster.
Yeah, like a John Wick type motherfucker. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, March 4th, this thing drops. We're all going to be there opening weekend. I know Corey and I will definitely be seeing that Thursday night. Doug, maybe you even will for once. Go out Thursday. Probably not. But Saturday you'll see
school night, and I don't like staying up late.
Yeah,
it's a school night.
Yeah, it's a work night.
School, work, same shit. And JP will be back then to talk about it without a doubt. We know if he was throwing his most anticipated of 2022 on here, absolutely the Batman will be number one.
Yeah.
So that one will be a lot of fun to talk about when it comes out. All right. My number 3, Mission Impossible 7. Like Jackass Forever, this was on my list last year. At this point, the Mission Impossible franchise, I think, is like the most consistent thing in film as far as quality goes. It continues to go up for me ever since Mission Impossible 2. I've found everyone to go up. They dropped the quality with 2 from 1, but it's been up since then. new characters or actors we've got in this one are Haley Atwell. She's going to be the female lead alongside Rebecca Ferguson and Vanessa Kirby. Bing Rames and Simon Pegg are back, as expected, along with Tom Cruise. We've got Henry. I don't know how to say this guy's last name. He played Kittredge in the original Mission Impossible film, who was kind of like the IMF foil type guy. He wasn't like a villain or anything, but he was out to get Tom Cruise based on him being framed. He's back for the first time since the first one. We know Pom Clemente, Shea Wiggum, Rob Delaney, Carrie Elwes. They're all Mark Gatiss, and Indira Varma from Game of Thrones. They're all in it as well. So this is a stacked cast, and one that Tom Cruise is going to try to kill himself again on screen for our delight, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing. So between this and Top Gun Maverick, it's going to be a fucking awesome year for Tom Cruise. And we already know we have Mission Impossible 8 next year as well. So it'll be the first time that we get back-to-back films from them. There's typically at least a 3-year gap in between films. This one would have came out sooner if it wasn't for the pandemic. But yeah, I'm pumped for this one. And 8 in 2023. Comes out in September. All right. Corey, your number 2.
So my number 2 is The Batman. The only other thing I just wanted to mention about this, and the little amount that we've seen, which is very little, of Paul Dano as Riddler, his voice, especially in the latest trailer, like, is terrifying. Like, whatever voice that he's doing is straight up like nightmare fuel. So I'm super excited to see what his character ends up being, like how he ends up playing that. I'm sure it's going to be amazing because he's a great actor. Yeah, I don't have anything really else to say that we haven't said already. I can't March 3rd? March 4th?
March 4th.
March 4th. Yeah, it needs to get here already. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for that one.
Cool. Doug, your number 2.
So this isn't going to be a surprise to anybody that listens to this podcast that this is on my list, but I think you guys are making a big mistake by not putting this one on your most anticipated list, because it'll probably be your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies of the year, if not the decade. Of course, I couldn't be talking about any other movie except for the great sequel to the hit movie Avatar 2.
I still don't believe that this movie's coming out this year.
I think this is the first year the year has started with the movie actually supposed to be coming out. I mean, they've already started the marketing. They've done stuff with Entertainment Weekly, like photos and like getting people hyped as far as the production.
Yeah. The movie's done.
Marketing train's already started. Disney's not going to wait. Like it's not going to be like Fox. Like they're going to be like, put this fucking movie out. We want to make our money, especially with all their Star Wars related problems as far as getting movies into theaters. So they're going to make sure this shit comes out in December.
Didn't they push it? Like, I thought it was ready to come out last year.
Wait, it's coming out in September?
December.
Oh, December. Okay.
It's going to be like every other December, right? Is a Avatar year.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the pandemic, I think it's possible we may have gone into this past December. I think
Cameron said like.
I think the last delay was a pandemic. Yeah, I think the last delay.
Yeah, that was a pandemic delay. Yeah, it was supposed to come out last year. Yeah,
to ensure the most box office. So it's going to come out in December.
Yeah, because I think Cameron said like it's done, like it's printed, like it's ready to go. He's like wrapping up 2 while filming 3 and 4. I don't, he's got like a million of these avatars ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 and 3 like basically locked at this point, and 4 and 5 are already getting worked on.
I wouldn't be surprised if this brings back the 3D hype that
I keep wondering if they're going to introduce like a new version of 3D prior to this coming out, or if it's going to still be like the same 3D technology that Avatar 1 introduced back, the real D type of thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about a new type of technology.
I don't think the glasses are going to be different. I wouldn't be surprised if like Cameron is like came up with some new stuff that we haven't seen in movies before. I know they're doing a lot of stuff for an Avatar 2, like that's underwater.
Yeah, it seems like that's been his big innovation for this one, is how they deal with water.
Yeah, and like Cameron's like, breaking records, going down in his diving contraption to like the bottom of the ocean and shit like that. So I don't know. James Cameron like is like a director you can't like bet against. Like,
yeah,
the guy just makes hits, and every time anyone doubts him, like he tends to prove people wrong.
He's got to
I
prove
know
me
everyone
wrong, hopefully.
thought like Titanic was going to be a disaster, and I mean,
I really hope he proves me wrong on this one.
So do I. I mean, I hope so too.
I wish I loved Avatar. I didn't from the first viewing. I was like, nah.
I watched it recently and it was okay, but I didn't love it.
You got to watch it in 3D.
Again.
It was fine.
I don't have a 3D TV.
Yeah, what is he gonna watch in 3D on? Oh, well, when it'll probably get
that was like the
3D,
entire.
right?
Yeah, I'm sure
it will definitely get re-released this year.
I mean, I'll see it
but
again.
That was like the magic of Avatar was the 3D. If you like just watch it on TV, it's like just another movie with blue people.
It'll probably get an August re-release and the trailer playing before or after it.
I'll definitely see that again in 3D because it was a pretty cool experience from what I remember.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No, the 3D looked cool. There's no doubt about that. It just needs a better story. And Cameron's fucking great when it comes to sequels. I mean, Aliens and Terminator 2. So maybe he levels up big time with Avatar 2. It still makes it a little bit more original while still having all the universal themes that makes his movies number one of all time consistently. I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if Avatar 2 ends up being the biggest movie of all time worldwide, as long as it gets like a China release, although that didn't even really play that much of an impact on the first one. I think it only made like 200 million in China because of the amount of theaters it was in at the time.
I don't see how it doesn't get released in China. It's such a big China loves Avatar.
Yeah.
Aren't they tried to stop it, or like they're not really interested at this point in Avatar, or like American movies?
No, they're not interested in MCU movies. They didn't put any of their 2021 movies in theaters, including Spider-Man. I think that was punishment for various things. Some of the ways that like communism was presented in like Black Widow, and the things that Chloe Zhao said like about China, and the things that Simu Liu said about China. So I think that was directly targeting them, but they're focusing on their own movies now that make a crazy ton of money. But Avatar could be an exception. Who knows? Hopefully it plays there, because it'd be fun to see how high this can go.
Yeah.
Can James Cameron be the king of the world once again? We will find out in December.
Sounds good.
All right. My number 2, this was the second film that all three of us had after The Black Phone, and it is Nope. So yeah, Jordan Peele's Nope. Hopefully we can talk about what it's actually about in the next month or so. Don't have anything else to say about it now. Number 1, Corey?
So my number 1 movie is Robert Eggers' new movie, The Northman, starring Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Willem Dafoe, Ethan Hawke. Robert Eggers directed The Witch and the Lighthouse. So I really enjoyed both of those movies. This seems quite different from those first 2 films. It's more of an action drama. Definitely a period piece. Takes place in with the Vikings. A child revenging the death of his father, basically. Child of royalty. So, based on the first trailer, I was all in on this. It's got a fantastic cast. The scope of his movies, visually, and the editing are amazing. So, I think this type of film will play really well to his style. And he's up until this point, from the movies that I've seen, he's very period correct with everything. So I think that this is just going to be like a really fun ride, really well done type of movie. So hopefully it's like a 3-hour epic. That's what I'm hoping for. Skarsgård looks like he's just like absolutely like jacked out of his mind, which I didn't know that. Murph, you said to me like the other day that he's always been like a big guy.
Yeah,
But
no, he's a muscular dude.
yeah, I
And he's
never.
a damn good actor. He's a damn good actor. He's underrated.
Yeah,
I mean, wasn't he George of the Jungle?
No, it was Tarzan.
Tarzan, whatever the fuck. George of the Jungle.
Yeah, I mean,
he was pretty jacked for that, and
yeah,
he was in that Vampire True Blood.
Yep. Yeah, he was in Generation Kill.
Had his shirt off a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Never realized that he was this jacked, but the movie kind of reminds me of, or not even the movie. He reminds me a lot of like Conan the Barbarian type of thing. Obviously, very different, but just his style, the way that the character looks. Who doesn't love like a good revenge flick? So hopefully that this is that type of. It seems like this is that type of movie. And I'm sure, based on Robert Eggers' other movies, the trailers really show nothing of like what the movie actually is. So you really have to go and see the movie to see like the full scope of everything. So this has me like super excited.
All you need to know about this movie is 6 words: avenge father, save mother, kill Fjolnir.
Yeah.
If I'm pronouncing that last word right. That's the tagline of the movie. It's the funniest thing in the world.
Yes.
People look at that and they're like, what? What does this even mean? But the trailer's sick. Him catching the spear that's coming down at him. That is an awesome money shot. Yeah, I haven't seen Robert Eggers' other films, but I'm going to see this one for sure.
I read that I think they showed a cut of the movie to maybe like 2 or 3 different audiences in the US, and like people loved it, but it was like incredibly violent, and people were like really taken back by how violent it was. Like it's so we'll see. I mean, I imagine with his movies he doesn't really change much, so hopefully it stays that way, his version of the movie. And I think like the movie's relatively long. I think it's close to 3 hours, 2.5.
Got it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer for this yet, but
watch it later.
Oh man,
I'll have to watch it. But like, yeah. I've seen The Witch, and it wasn't really my.
This
cup
one,
of tea.
I think you'll like this.
This looks a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just hope it's not like The Witch was all about like we're gonna be as authentic as possible to like the point where like I can't understand what people are saying because they tried to go with like the accent of the way that people would have talked at the time.
Yeah,
and, like the way people dressed had to be like perfect, and it was just I don't know, I couldn't get into it.
It doesn't seem like dialogue wise he goes to that extent, but like visually, like the way the setting of everything and the set pieces and the costumes I think are period correct, and like how the story's told. But it doesn't seem like the dialogue is that. Yeah,
I can't understand the dialogue because they're using phrases that they used in like Iceland. And
yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember reading something that he said like he originally wanted it to be subtitled. Because
I heard like I didn't see Lighthouse, but I heard like Lighthouse it's kind of a similar thing. Like they had like the accent that those people would have had at the time, and so like it's difficult to understand what the hell they're saying.
At times it is, but
yeah, so I don't like love that.
Watch the trailer for this, and
I'll watch the trailer.
All right, Doug, your number 1 film.
My number one, another movie that wouldn't be a surprise to anyone listens to me talk on the podcast. I mentioned this was high on my list, and it is because it's number one. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Part Uno. Already talked about it, but it's gonna be awesome. And I'm hoping it comes somewhere close to the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we've talked about that. That was on Corey's list as well. Very excited for it. And my number one, which we've already talked about as well, is Killers of the Flower Moon. No surprise to anyone that's listened that I have a DiCaprio Scorsese movie as my number one most anticipated film. If you know me, favorite actor, DiCaprio, and probably my favorite director, Scorsese. So that this is a perfect combination as always. And adding De Niro into the pie is even better since, I mean, what have they done together? What is it? Maybe their eighth film together. It looks like Mean Streets,
8 or
New
9.
York, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, King of Comedy, Cape Fear, Goodfellas, Casino, The Irishman. This is their 10th movie together.
Yeah.
And with DiCaprio, I believe this is the 6th movie together. They did Gangs of New York, Aviator, Departed, Shutter Island, Wolf of Wall Street. So yeah, this is super exciting to see all 3 of these guys working together. So yeah, no idea when it comes out. It will be a 2022 movie. It will absolutely be in the awards race for 2022 films in early 2023. But yeah, when we know more about it, we will talk about it. So yeah, that is our top 10. And we talk about our honorable mentions as well. So I think we are done here. We still haven't talked about our favorite films of 2021 because there's still a bunch that we're all trying to get to. So that'll be a topic in February. I mean, people are going to be talking about 2021 movies until March when the Academy Awards are. So in my opinion, wait until we've seen them all that we want to see before we talk about our favorites. It seems silly to just jump on it until we are fully complete and have digested everything that we were anticipating for the year. But that's it for today. Thank you again for listening. Our new listeners, thank you as well on Twitch. Really appreciate that. Hopefully you stick with us. On our next episode, we are going to be doing our winter spring box office pool. So this is where we predict each of us kind of like a fantasy draft, pick the movies that we anticipate making the most money between February and April. So it's a smaller selection than the last 2 drafts we've done. We'll probably do maybe like 4 or 5 picks each. We'll make sure JP gets on this one. Or if he can't, then we will just do the 3 of us, and we can actually probably do our typical 6-movie draft for each of us. But we'll figure that out over the next week or so. I believe our next episode will be 2 weeks from now. But yeah, as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll see you again next time, film lovers.
Bye.